Always great catching up with my next guest. It's been a bit, but excited to see her back in the cage. UFC 287, April 8th. It's Sam Hughes back here on the program. Sam, how are you?
Good, good, James. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for joining me. Your last fight was in October. Here we are talking about a fight in April. Was this the right amount of time off, or are you hoping to get in there a little bit sooner?
I actually think so. I was kind of itching like February, in January, February timeframe because I was like, man, I actually really want to get back in there. I'm ready for a fight. I got to enjoy the holidays, which I haven't done in I don't know how many years, which I'm super thankful for. Thanksgiving and Christmas I was able to enjoy. So
Nice.
so after that, then I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back in the cage. I'm ready to fight. But I just had no idea who it was going to be or where. And it turns out Miami, it's the best place to fight. So I was excited to get out of Vegas.
Yes, and it's good to see you back. Like I mentioned, never fun to talk about a loss. We got to quickly mention that last fight. Rodriguez obviously didn't go your way. What did you learn the most from that fight? Because you obviously learned more from a loss than a win.
Definitely. I learned a lot. I sat on my wrestling defense, and just wrestling in general after that fight. I kind of have a little chip on my shoulder, and I take offense highly now, if I ever get taken down. So, that's, a big goal of mine is to never get taken down if I can help it, or if I do get pop right back up. So, I really, my biggest goal, after that fight was just to sit on my wrestling. And so that's exactly what I did. And man, I had like 5 months to work on it. So it's been great. And I'm excited to showcase that.
And we'll talk about training in a sec because I've been kind of paying attention on Instagram, what's happening there. But let's talk about your opponent here. 6-0. What do you know about her? How do you feel like you match up against her here?
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is a really good matchup for me. Very good jiu-jitsu artist. I'm really excited. I think this is a perfect matchup for me. I consider myself a very good striker. And now with my wrestling background, working with Jen, and a few other training partners, I'm just excited to showcase that. But she's dangerous on the ground, so I just have to like cross all my T's and dot all my I's. And I've watched all of her fights. I've watched her fight and checkmat and things like that. So I just know she's highly skilled on the ground. So we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
No, it's going to be a fun fight. I guess the
Yes.
sort of the obvious thing in this one is you have like double the fights she does. Do you think that'll play into it? Just that experience? Because, one of the things we talked about, I think the last interview we did, I mean, you fought the who's who on the regional scene even before you were in the UFC. So you're kind of battle tested from that sense.
Definitely. And I think I've honestly had one of the hardest roads in the UFC.
Yeah.
So, I'm not scared to get in there. I don't care who I'm matched against. I fought Tisha on 5 days notice. So this is just another one, another notch in my belt. And I'm just excited to really get in there and show who I actually am now. Because I've been working my butt off and I think it's all going to pay off here pretty soon.
Yes, next month, April
Yes.
8th. So training camp, take me through that. Like I said, I've been kind of paying attention. I saw Emily Ducote. You mentioned Jin Frey. And
Yep.
then are you still at Fortis as well, or is this all at Fortis? Like what's going on with camp
Oh,
right now?
yeah, no, it's all at Fortis.
Okay.
Yeah, so Emily came down a couple times from Oklahoma. I plan on going up there and going to see her in Oklahoma for her fight whenever because I think she fights at the end of April. So I'm going to help her out with her camp too. But I train at Progresso Jiu-Jitsu up in Plano, Texas, and then Fortis full time. So just those two, and just have really good training partners. Wrestling, jujitsu, everything. So it's really good.
You've really taken it up a notch, I should say, in your skill and everything. I think since being at Fortis, that was one of the things I kind of noticed. And Coach Safe, one of the best in the world. What's it like getting to work with him? And I know he sets a very high standard for a lot of the fighters, which is a good thing. You see it in the results.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he raises you up to a new level. Honestly, I was truly humbled just to be able to train and fight in the gym. Really, whenever I came in, I was just wanting to help Jen, and be a really good training partner for her. And then whatever kind of came next was what it was. But man, fighting under Safe is such a privilege. It's such an honor. I've learned so much. My striking coach, Charles Bird, he's been amazing. He's had to like basically rewire my whole striking, which he's done an amazing job of, and I'm super grateful for. But man, everybody in that room is killers, and they just raise you up to a whole new level. So it's really cool to be a part of that family, and I'm just so thankful to be there.
How did you end up training there? Like, who did you know? What was sort of the connection to you even deciding to go train at Fortis?
Yeah, it's a really weird story. Actually, my mom lives in Dallas, and at the time I was living in Washington. And I was telling her, I was like, "Hey, I'm wanting to make this move. I want to get out of Washington so badly." And so she just went on a walk one day and then ran into Fortis and then went in there and she was like, "Hey, my daughter's coming down for the summer and things like that. Is there any way that she can come in and train?" And then Safe, he was like, "What's your daughter's name?" Pulled up, Tapology, and he's like, "What's going on here, here, here?" And she was like, "Coach, I don't know. You'll have to talk to her about that." And then he was like, "Okay, you got the check mark, Mom." He was like, "She can come in whenever she wants to." And so, unfortunately, I took like another year or two to get down here. Which I wish I would have made the move way sooner. But man, it's been so great ever since.
And much better weather. I think we
Oh,
talked about this
yeah.
last interview. Like I live right next to Washington State, and we're
Yep,
getting rain and all this different stuff. So it's much nicer weather down there too, which is probably makes the every day just a little bit more enjoyable getting that vitamin D, right? So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's
Yep.
awesome. And then I imagine Safe will be in your corner. Who else is going to be in the cage with you that night?
Yep, and then Charles Bird,
Nice.
and my jiu-jitsu coach was gonna come with me because he's come with me for the last two, but he had prior obligations, and so my training partner, jiu-jitsu training partner, Carol Campos, is gonna come with me, and she's very high level jiu-jitsu um, artist. So I'm gonna bring her with me and help with that. So it's been good. I feel like I have the dream team with me. It's good.
And the weight cut. I know we got lots of time, but when does that process start for you to get down to 115?
About 2 weeks before. It's not too bad. I don't blow up too much after a fight. I mean, I have, like a week and then I get back on it. But for the most part, I stay pretty lean and stay pretty always stay active. So the weight cut isn't like a huge deal for me. And plus, I'm always ready. So I like to stay somewhere around 115 within at least like 10 or 15 pounds of that. Um, just in case I get a short notice call and then I'll never miss weight.
There you go. And that always looks
Yep.
good for the company too, if you're able to, take sort of fights like that, which is a good strategy, I think.
Yep.
April 8th, how's this one playing out? I know you don't sign fight contracts to lose, so I know you feel like you're going to win, but how do you see it unfolding?
Yeah. Well, that's the $1 million question. I don't want to reveal too much, but I definitely see a finish in my future. And I promise to put on a very entertaining, kick off this card right, and get the crowd going. So definitely see a finish.
I like it. I was trying to pay attention to kind of see what your contract is right now, because I know you had the one contract. And so is this the second last fight on your current contract, or what? How many more fights do you have left? I was trying
Yeah.
to
So I've
figure
got
that out.
this one and then one more.
Right. So a big fight, right? Because usually if you
Yeah.
win this one, you can go back. Well, regardless, if you have the one fight left, usually you renegotiate before you go back in. So is that in the back of your head at all, or is it something you're not even worried about?
No, definitely it is. Everybody wants to win.
Mhm.
But I feel like I really want to have a really good performance on a pay-per-view card in Miami. It's not in Vegas. So I want to put my stamp of approval or like seal on this third contract. So I feel like if I have a really good performance and make a statement, then it's just like, okay, that third contract is signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, UFC must think, you mentioned it there. You've had a tough run in the UFC, even your debut, like I said, short notice. Do you
Yeah.
kind of get the sense the UFC is like happy with that? I mean, they obviously, keep giving you good fights, but they also must recognize that, you've been sort of a good company person for them, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so. I even got a little bit of feedback after the Pereira fight that it was a really good fight. I gave up some takedowns and stuff like that, which cost me the win. But I think overall they're proud of or they're happy with my performances and that I'm just not like I'm not boring or anything like that. And I always show up. I always make weight. So try to remain like a professional, have good character, things like that. So yeah.
That's great. Couple months ago, you were on one of my favorite podcasts, the Ashley Evans Smith Sex and
Oh,
Violence podcast. How was it? No, I was just curious, like, how was it going on a different show where you're talking about things that aren't related to fighting and are a bit personal? Was it like a fun thing for you? Because she does such a good job, I know,
yeah.
kind of making the guests comfortable and everything, right?
Yeah, no, she does. You know, I really like Ashley. She was fun to talk to. I was nervous about it. I kind of kicked that can down the road like for a few weeks, and she was staying on me. She was like, "Hey, do you want to do this? Are you there's no pressure, but you know, I really want you on the show." So that was really fun to talk to her. And you know, a lot of people reached out to me after that and were like, "Hey, it was really cool to hear you open up about like a bunch of different things and talk about stuff that I don't show on my Instagram or anything like that because I'm a
Yeah.
pretty private person and I don't have an OnlyFans
Yeah.
account." So it was really fun though. I really liked talking to her, and it was just a different show.
Yeah, no, I thought it came across really well. And it was just cool, like I said, because, we see you as the fighter, but, sometimes you don't think of the personal side in terms of, your day-to-day life. You mentioned OnlyFans. Do you get fans hitting you up and saying, are you starting one? Because I see,
Yeah.
there's obviously a few women who do it, but I'm sure it gets kind of annoying because you're like, no, I'm good. I just want to fight, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's I want to be respected for the athlete that I am, not necessarily all the booty pics and stuff like that. But which is, hey, if
Yeah,
I'm not knocking your hustle, if that's what you want to do, then by all means do it.
yeah.
But it's funny because I laugh with like my friends and training partners that, you know, if we don't get a fight in a certain amount of time, we're like, well, maybe we'll sell some feet pictures,
There you go. Why not?
things
It's
like
a
that.
big market apparently. So,
Yeah.
so there you go.
Apparently.
What does downtime look like being in Texas? Like, I'm sure, again, weather's good, so I'm sure you're going outside a lot, but what are some things you like doing when you're not training other than like maybe the odd nap or anything like that?
Yeah. So man, I love being in Texas. The weather's amazing. There's so much to do. Um, I've got a dog who I'm sure you can probably hear. He's got his little squeaky toy.
Oh, I haven't heard him once. He's actually pretty good. So
Okay,
yeah,
good. I take him around White Rock Lake, and I mean Six Flags is here, so that's kind of fun to go over there and get on some roller coasters and things like that. But yeah, I mean, just honestly hanging out with friends and going to see live concerts. That's a big one for me because the music scene down here is
oh,
amazing.
it's a million times better. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
like
Any good concerts you've seen recently?
yeah, you know, Erica Badu was
Oh,
actually at
cool.
the factory, and she plays here all the time. So I try to go see like R&B and you know, and just kind of relaxing kind of concerts and jazz festivals. Those are really cool too.
Yeah, there's a lot of concerts. I've actually never been to Texas, but I hear like
Oh
great
man,
things about. No, I know I gotta go. Trust me, I've
you have
heard it,
to.
heard it many times. So yeah, but I've heard the music scene there is really good. Like if you're into that, there's always like usually something really good going on the weekends
Always.
or whatever, and it's pretty like close by in terms of driving distance and all that, right? So
Yep, exactly. Everything seems to be like 15 or 20 minutes away. Like you can get anywhere anywhere you need to go. There's always fun stuff happening.
and I know Texas is big, but have you found a lot of the California people moving there? I've heard that about Vegas, that a lot of people are leaving California ever since all the COVID restrictions and all these different things going on. Have you noticed that in Texas that you're getting more people coming to Texas or no?
Yeah, definitely. The traffic's really bad, or getting bad. But really, the biggest thing that you see is I'm trying to buy a house this year, and so it's just that's what you really see is like people coming in with like all cash offers, and you're like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it's so
okay,
annoying
so
driving all
that's
the prices up, I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's like the biggest place that you see it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what else is big. This fight, UFC 287, looking forward to it, April 8th. Sam, if there's anyone you'd like to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Oh my gosh, there's actually so many people to thank. All my family at Fortis, Progresso, all my training partners, Engine Company Coffee, HKA USA, helping me out with gear. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, I was going to say too, the social media, because you're always posting your sponsors on there. So if you happen to miss anyone in this interview, I'm sure they can just go there and see all your
Definitely,
sponsors and everyone's happy, right? So
definitely. Thank you, James.